Hi, my name is Patrice and welcome to the Golden Helix Guild YouTube channel. Many people are talking about near-death experiences these days, especially in light of the books written about it by doctors. Some of these titles include Proof of Heaven, Evidence of the Afterlife, and Consciousness Beyond Life. Tina Angeli, whose website is being shown below, is with us today, and she is a popular speaker about this subject. She even participated on a panel of speakers at the International Association for Near-Death Experience Studies conference in 2013. So, hi Tina.
Hi, Patrice.
So I understand that you've had several near-death experiences, both physical and emotional. Most people associate near-death experiences, or NDEs as they are known, with physical death. So for now, let's split those two apart, and I'd like to ask you a few questions about that type of experience, the physical near-death experience. So how do you know that you actually died and versus just coming close to dying? What is that difference?
Well, when I was in my 20s, I actually drowned, and as I was swallowing water, and it was hurting. All of a sudden, I heard like a snap. And there was no pain in the swallow. Although I was still swallowing water, there was no pain. And I started to see pictures above my head. They were like, I don't know why I could see them, because these pictures were above my head. But they were pictures of my life here, and also pictures that I didn't recognize. And when I asked, in my mind, what are those? Another snap, and I became aware of the fact that those were past lives. And I also became aware of the fact that the theme in this drowning situation was what was going on with my situation with my husband at the time. And so the past lives was my connection with him, and it was all about abuse. And I was also, every time a thought came into my mind, there was another snap, and I was being shown or aware of that this lifetime was very pivotal in changing it, because things were only going to get worse for me as far as my relationship with my husband, that I needed to just change that. And this was the greatest opportunity for me to do that. So I feel that I wasn't breathing when all this was happening. And it has something to do with that snap that I felt and heard. Because every time that question would come into my mind, they would just, again, another snap, and things would become so clear to me as far as what was going on or what was to happen in the future. So I came when my friend Emma realized that I was drowning, or I was struggling and whatever was going on in the water, because I never learned how to swim. And so she pulled me out, and of course I was very much in pain. I was coughing up water and everything. But I came out of that with the feeling that I was focused, that I needed to get out of that situation, my marriage situation, because I knew that it was only going to get worse for me, and therefore it felt like that one NDE, near-death experience, it gave me more strength to be able to go through the idea of, the divorce and all that. So it took a little while longer, but Finally I did it, and it was very, very difficult because there were a lot of threats and all kinds of things in my ex.
So our lessons, we cannot escape our lessons, even if we have to carry them around for lifetimes.
That's for sure. Yeah, yeah. We sometimes we come back to either redo or finish up what was started. In this case, the opportunity was great because, and of course, my ex-husband volunteered to be in that kind of situation, because we all have to agree to experience our dramas in our lives, just to be able to, for me to get out of it before I was dead, to get out of the situation, and also for the sake of providing a lesson for my two daughters, that to let them know that this wasn't the way a woman should be treated by a man. So that's what gave me the strength more so to do it.
So I understand you had another one. You've had 2 physical near-death experiences.
Yes. That one, the second one happened only 2 years ago, on January 5th.
And you said, again.
But that was actually a car accident. I call it the miracle car crash, because if you looked at my car, you would never think that a woman or the person that was driving this car would still be alive. It was the car was in bad shape, because I got hit on the driver's side, so I was caved into the car against the passenger seat, and my head hit the other side, and the airbags exploded. And once they exploded, the odor that's in them, it was very, first of all, the motor and everything, because it spinned. I get hit by an SUV, and my car was a small car, and so the smell in the car, just I could no longer breathe, and all of a sudden I felt like once I stopped breathing, I found myself above the car in this room. It felt like it was a room, but it had no walls. The walls were made of this incredible bright golden light, whitish golden light. And in this room were 9, I counted them, 9 beings of light. And they were behind this, it was like a half moon shaped table, or a desk. Mm. And for some reason, I felt so strong that the one in the middle, the being in the middle, was the one that I needed to communicate with, although I felt like the other 8 were holding me in that incredible love energy that felt so wonderful. But simultaneously, I could also see what was going on at the car, where the people were coming toward the car or getting out of the house, because the sound was very loud. And I could actually feel what these people were feeling. Like some of them were very just curious about another accident, and some of them were actually very concerned about my, whether I was still alive or not. And so I could see that at the same time while I was communicating with these beings. And I kept saying, no, I'm not ready to go yet. I'm not done. I'm not finished with what I need to do still on the earth. I can't do it. And all of a sudden, I felt like I heard, okay. I found myself back into the car. But prior to that, I have to explain what these beings look like. They were wearing capes, dark capes, like a dark brown capes, and this part of their faces was just bright light. So I couldn't see any eyes or anything like that, but and it also felt like the capes, they were wearing capes for my benefit.
For your benefit, yes.
For my benefits, just so they would have a silhouette.
A form,
A
yeah.
form. So I was aware of all that. I just knew it. And then I found myself back when I heard okay or felt okay. The word okay. I came back into the car, and there I was surrounded by exploded airbags, and it was. I started to feel pain, and then the same two people that I saw coming toward my car from above, they finally got there, and they were asking, "Are you okay? Can you get out of the car?" I said, I think I'm okay. So they said, well, "Can you get out from the other side?" Because there was no way that I could open this side. So I finally did, and I was very, very shaky. And because the woman especially was very concerned about the fact that the car might explode, so she wanted me out of there. So I finally got out, and she held me from my arm and took me into her vehicle and told me that the 911 had been called and the police would get there soon. The ambulance was also called.
So this experience you had with the 9 beings, it seemed like a long time, and yet it was a matter of seconds.
Maybe not even. It was like everything was happening at the same time, simultaneously.
But was it a sensation that you were with them in conversation for a while, or was it just long enough to say, "Hey, I'm not ready to go"?
Long enough?
Because I understand time is different.
There's no time on the other side. It was, the feeling was that they heard me, they sensed what I was sensing. The others were holding me in that incredible love energy. There was no pain. It was just complete love, and it was so, when I think of being there, it's just, I feel so blessed to have had that experience, actually. And then finally I got convinced by some friends to go to the hospital, and there was the shock. I had no broken bones when tests were done, and
Oh my.
lots of bruising, which I took care of. I didn't want to take any prescription drugs, and so I took care of that with arnica, both orally and oral, and also the cream. My body was like all the different colors of the rainbow, but it took a while.
So I know people who've had near-death experiences have come to you for help. Are their experiences similar? And if so, how?
All experiences are different. One of the themes is that it doesn't matter if it happened 5 years ago, 30 years ago. It's like it's embedded in the brain. There's no way that you could ever forget all the details. Everything is so detailed that's one of the themes. As far as whatever they sensed, they felt, sometimes they're different, but there are themes going on where you can never forget all the sort of details of the situation.
Not quite like a dream. It's just very embedded in the brain.
It's just, it's like you can go there just by simply thinking it. You could go back to the situation.
So you said you had bruising and that they were really, really shocked that was it. So I was just wondering if someone who's had an NDE, do they often have a lot of health issues afterwards because, the body thought it was dead. I've known people who've been declared dead like 3 times and come out of it and lead the rest of their life. I was just wondering if, since you work with so many people and know so many people with NDEs, do they have residual physical difficulties, or do a lot of them have that unusual experience that, even though you drown, you don't have respiratory problems. Even though you're in this horrible car accident, you didn't have broken bones. You had some bruising.
Well, actually,
Is that typical or less typical?
it's there are people that are still depending on what's going on in their life. Like, for example, at the conference that I went to in September, there was this gentleman that wrote a book, and he had a car accident, and his wife and one of his children died, and he lost a leg in the accident. So when he was talking about it, he was crying like a child. It's like he was back there again. So
Does everyone who have NDEs have a choice to stay or to leave? I mean, you can't really give me an overall definitive answer, but has anyone asked that question? Does it seem to be that people say, I want to stay?
I have heard of people either at the conference or at the group at UConn Health Center, the support group that we have, the near-death experience group at UConn, that sometimes people have, they want to stay, and some light being, either a guide or an archangel, tell them, no, you have to go back because you're not done yet. Okay? I still don't know why in my case I was so passionate about coming back. I still don't know all the details of that.
So what are some of the more profound changes in your life that you've experienced from this NDE, these NDEs?
First of all, I became aware of my dreams being more profound and clear. Also became sensitive to too much light, and my hearing. If somebody, let's say, speaks loud close to me, I have to either get further away, or I have to ask him not to speak that loud. It's the sensitivity in my body is just
Perceptual sensitivity.
Yeah, in a way that if it's not fixed, it hurts. It hurts me. The lights and the audio, and also I became aware of also about the fact that some of the information that would come through me prior to this last NDE, now it's even more. It's stronger. It's sharper, and I'm talking about the psychic information.
I know that you do have meditation evenings, and that you do also readings for people, and we'd love to hear more about that. But if you would agree to come back, that would be great, and we can continue with more on the NDEs.
That's fine, thank you.
Good. Thank you. So these changes that you're talking about, becoming more aware, didn't you say, I think at the earlier one, that you have more clarity and focus and determination? Are these changes typical?
I have heard other people sharing their experiences of similar changes in them. Like, for example, one of the things that no longer becomes important to them is even having regular conversations with people. It's kind of like, okay, it's like meaningless. Like, there's this kind of need to be more in profound experiences. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Of course it does. So not the surface chatter, but a more meaningful connection with people.
Yeah.
We could all use a lot of that. So what happens when someone has had this type of experience and doesn't know about NDEs?
They usually, my understanding has been that they normally think they're going nuts and they become scared. They feel that they want to keep it a secret because they don't want people to think that they're different, they're crazy, and what would they think and all that. So many times I've heard of some people that have ended up in counseling with a counselor that is not necessarily aware on how to deal with people that have had near-death experiences. We become different. Different is a good word to choose, I guess.
So what kinds of things have you heard? So if someone watching this could go, oh my goodness, that's describing me. So what kind of things have you heard? Changes that people have gone to psychologists or worried?
Yeah, like for example, waking up with this idea that they would be able to change an outcome in their lives, something, or being able to see it and change it in a way that it would be more meaningful for them, and and also being able to pick up on people's thoughts or feelings, not necessarily wanting to, but just it becomes like an ability.
So it sounds like there's an expansion of perceptual awareness, not just the sight and sound that we would think of, but a broader spectrum of sight and sound and feelings, to be attuned with people's energy and to see beings of light.
Yes, that's exactly it. And of course, every one's experience is different, but the idea that you could never forget what has happened to you in details, like even years later, in details, remember every little thing that has happened.
So you mentioned that there are a lot of doctors and psychologists that would prescribe differently and not necessarily recognize or acknowledge near-death experiences. What can you say to people who are thinking of going to get professional help?
One of the very important thing to go to is the IAN's website, which is the International Association of Near-Death Experiences. And in that website, you can actually, there's a list of, if you're feeling a certain way, it actually quotes what they consider to be a near-death experience. And also there's a printout that you can print out where what the mental health field needs to know how to deal with somebody that has had this type of experience.
And you mentioned there are support groups?
Yes, the near-death support group that's been going on for more than 20 years, which was started by a doctor at Yukon Health Center. It's still going on. It's always the second Monday of each month. And if you go to the IANS, the International Association of Near-Death Studies, and look for local groups, the information will come up there.
It's amazing that there are enough people who've experienced this, that there are books out there and support groups.
Yes, it's wonderful to have this type of support, because sometimes even people in your own family, in my own family, I feel that they would not understand, and so it's like it would be useless to even try to explain to them how these experiences have changed me.
Well, thank you so much for explaining to us. And I hope that there are people who watch this video recognize in themselves or somebody else and just have a little more understanding and direction, or just the awareness of our perceptions can be expanded, and hopefully not through a near-death experience. So thank you very much, Tina, for joining us.
Thank you for having
And
me.
we look forward to seeing you again, talking about many of your other talents.
Thank you. Thank you, Patrice.